It is time now for the Formula One report with me, Sasha Martinengo. Three things I want to bring up with you today. Red Bull, as we know, Daniel Ricciardo was disqualified from the first Grand Prix from his second position because of a fuel flow sensor problem, which is fitted by the FIA. Now, they are appealing the decision. Of course, it's going into the tribunal, which will happen next week or later on this week. But the question is now all of a sudden Christian Horner has come out and says we have a very strong case. As more races have progressed, issues have become more evident and new evidence has come to light. New understandings have come to light as well. This does put the FIA in a little bit of a predicament, in my opinion, because if they give the case over to Red Bull and say, okay, you had every right to go and tamper with the fuel flow sensor, then it does allow everybody else to do the same thing. So I think there is a massive precedent that we'll find out on the 14th of April. The next story, and this is not surprising, I must be honest, Paddy Lowe, and I was fortunate enough, I spoke to him in Hungary last year. A delightful man. Now, he is the big boss at Mercedes in the sense of looking after the car technically. The executive director, he says that Formula One chiefs should be pushing to make life tougher for teams with the new fuel rules rather than considering tweaks to help out those who are struggling. Now, the problem is, I've never liked the fuel rule in the sense of that you're restricting people to actually go and do flat-out racing. But I do understand it in terms of what Formula One are trying to do in terms of development and being the pinnacle of every form of motorsport. But if you have the most dominant car, of course you're going to sit there and come out and say anything that would detract against your competitors. He's basically saying, well, those people who can't get their fuel efficiency right, well, that's their problem. And I would say by good judgment rather than by good luck, the 100 kilogram for the race and the 100 kilogram an hour are perfectly judged numbers. Because if the team that wins the race is racing on those limits and not having to do unusual amounts of fuel saving, then it is a perfect judgment. Which, of course, and he's 100% right with his own interpretation. The problem is that a lot of the other teams or the other manufacturers, for example, Renault and Ferrari, don't seem to have done their numbers as well as Mercedes-Benz. And one should not then blame Mercedes-Benz or undermine their achievements by now all of a sudden making it easier for the other teams. I think there's still a long way to go in this discussion, but I have every confidence that Ferrari and Renault, of course, will be able to get their fuel efficiency sorted out and also find out the magic that Mercedes have by splitting the intercooler and the turbine compressor that Mercedes-Benz has done. But that might only come in 2015. And finally, this one I'm very, very happy about. At the beginning of the season, there was a whole lot of talk about the last couple of races or the last race having double points. And now all of a sudden the Formula One chiefs, and that means Jean Todt, they are saying we want to have a rethink about that because the decision to award double points for the season finale in Abu Dhabi this year has met with disapproval from fans, and most of them saying that, what could happen is you could get one driver who lands up winning double points and winning a championship and maybe not even having won a race throughout the whole season. So they are going to rethink this. And the FIA have got a lot of things to think about. The double points, they're also trying to work on the noise in terms of Formula One. It doesn't sound the same as last year. But I think everyone still needs to have a little bit of patience. We've got the Chinese Grand Prix coming up later on. And then, of course, we move into Europe. And at Barcelona, hopefully things will maybe start balancing themselves out. And when I say balancing themselves out, hopefully somebody will be able to catch the likes of Mercedes-Benz. There we go. That is the world of Formula One with me, Sasha Martinengo.
Gears on balls.co.za.
Weekdays 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.